Okay, welcome to Daniel's Star Trek. We have Daniel here. How do you pronounce your last name? Bertazzoni?
Yeah, Bertazzoni.
Daniel, how long have you been a fan of Star Trek?
Well, I've been a fan of Star Trek since the 90s. I remember I used to watch Star Trek with my brother every day at 4 o'clock.
What were you Were you watching Next Generation or the original series?
Actually, I haven't learned about the original series until the early 2000s. That's when I got, satellite, and I found it.
So your introduction to Star Trek was Next Generation?
Yeah.
Okay. And you started watching that in the 90s. Do you think it got worse or better as it went along, as the series went along?
Well, I like DS9 a lot. It was a big improvement, in my opinion.
Over Next Generation?
Yeah.
Okay.
TNG was so... It was so morally... I don't know. Everything about it was so sterile, It was so sterile and bland and, And the people didn't act like real human beings, in my opinion. They were so... I know it was supposed to be a utopia, but... the audience has to connect with the characters. And how can they connect with the characters when they're all happy all the time? They don't even act like normal people. And it's hard for an audience to connect with, stuff that is not like them,
But you never stopped watching.
I never stopped watching it. There was something about it. I mean, maybe it's because I like space stuff. Stuff that takes place in space.
Do you think that the show got better over the years, or did it just remain the same?
Well, TNG, I think it was pretty much the same. It did get better sometimes, like Parallels. I love that episode, Parallels. It was really good. I mean, string theory and alternate realities is my favorite thing. I love that. I've been a big fan of all that string theory and stuff. Yeah.
Did you ever read the book The Holographic Universe?
Holographic Universe?
It basically states that the universe is a hologram. And then the whole book goes on to prove it. There's also a book called Parallel Universes. You might enjoy both those books. So you enjoy Deep Space Nine more. Deep Space Nine, you were able to identify with the characters?
Oh, yeah. Deep Space Nine gave us human characters. It gave us the interpersonal conflict that we didn't get in TNG. It gave us darker tones. It was more human. Cisco, for instance, he was more human than Picard. Picard would always want to go the diplomatic route. He would always, and that's not really fun. People want to have fun when they watch TV. Sorry, what?
Have you seen the original series?
Oh yeah.
So would you say Cisco's more like Kirk?
Yeah, Cisco is much more like Kirk.
What else about Deep Space Nine did you enjoy? It showed the darker side of the Federation.
Yeah.
It gave showed us the Federation's secret service, so to speak.
Yeah, Section 31. Yep. I like that. That was really interesting. The Dominion War was the best. The Dominion War arc was really good. I love that. The Vorta, the Jem'Hadar, the Changelings.
I liked the Dominion War, except for the way it ended. It was just, we changed our mind. War's over.
Yeah, that's it.
Other than that, I liked it. And what about Star Trek Voyager?
Oh, Voyager was pretty good, especially like the later seasons. When when they acquired, like Seven of Nine, and then she did all those adjustments to Voyager, and then there was that other Borg between her and the Doctor that was born, the Super Borg. Uh-huh. That was good. He enhanced the Voyager even more, and So it just kept on getting better and better from there on in, you know? And then at the very end, Endgame was a good episode when they got that technology from the future. They got 25th century technology from Admiral Janeway, and that was really awesome. They enhanced it. They retrofitted their hull with the armor and everything. That was good.
Now, chronologically in the Star Trek timeline, the first would be Enterprise. Did you ever see Star Trek Enterprise?
Yeah.
Did you enjoy it or just not like it, or?
Well, I admit at first when I heard there was a new Star Trek show, I was excited. And I was like, oh my God, I just got off seeing Endgame, and I was like, oh my God, I want to see what the Federation can do from here on in after they brought back all that technology. Unfortunately, it was a prequel. It wasn't an NCC 1701F Enterprise. It wasn't an NX-01 Enterprise in the 22nd century. So it was an inferior Enterprise in an inferior generation, I guess you can say. And we were stuck there. We were marooned there. They had nothing. They didn't have shields. They didn't have tractor beams. You know, people are looking for the next generation technology. You don't get any of that there.
Because it is a prequel.
Yeah, I know, exactly. And so I was like, okay. I turned it off, and I forgot about it for like 2 years. And then when I saw the Xindi War arc, I was like, oh my God, now things are getting really good, you know? Yeah, that was really awesome, you know? That was really good, the way they did that. That's when the show really took off.
And then came, chronologically in the Star Trek timeline, Star Trek, the original series.
Yeah.
How much of that have you seen?
I've seen a few. I've seen a good number of those episodes. I just finished watching the Devil in the Dark.
Ah.
Yeah, with the Vorta.
Yeah. Interesting thing about that episode is during the making of that episode, William Shatner's father died. And he took some time off, then he came back and completed the episode. And Shatner says in various interviews that you see Nimoy standing as close to him as he possibly can throughout the episode because he's trying to give him support. So that's one of my favorite episodes simply because of the actors in trying to interact with each other. And then did you see any of the Star Trek the Animated Series?
Oh, I didn't. I mean, it sounded cool. I mean, it sounds nice. I would like to watch it if I could, but
it's interesting. It's made by the same people that made Archie cartoons based on the Archie comic books. Then then comes Next Generation, and you already told us how you felt about that, and Deep Space Nine and Voyager. Then comes the movies. Now, some of the movies were out in the theater and out of the theater before you started watching Star Trek. Have you seen all the Star Trek movies?
Yep, I've seen the motion picture all the way to Into Darkness.
Oh, now with the original series motion pictures, which one did you like the most?
Well, The Wrath of Khan. I would have to say The Wrath of Khan.
Yes, Wrath of Khan. But I think that's probably everyone's favorites. Now, then in the new series, did you think Into Darkness was better than the 2009, or do you think it's the same or worse?
Well, I like it, but I really do like it. I think it's awesome. I think it was really good. They upped the ante on this movie. They upped the level of action, adventure. The pace was much faster. I liked it, and I liked the first one too. The first one was successful. The second one, not so much. I can understand why people don't like it because that's what happens when you rehash old stuff. The audience gets angry.
Do you think they should have rehashed it, or should they have just instead of making him Khan, just make him a different villain, a different person, a different character altogether? Do you think that was a mistake making him Khan, or do you think it was okay?
Well, I think Khan was okay, but I mean, as Benedict Cumberbatch, he was okay. It confused people because they were like, why is he white? You know, Khan's supposed to be a Hispanic character. Like, you know, why is he like that? And, you know, that was very confusing to fans. I mean, I know Nero's incursion changed things, but it wouldn't change things that happened in the past.
Actually, Khan was more Arabic character than Hispanic. I mean, he was played by a Spanish actor, but he was from the Arabian Peninsula, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in the original series,
yeah,
they say Star Trek is to explore strange new worlds, seek out new civilizations, boldly go where no one has gone before. Do you think that's what Star Trek is about, or do you think Star Trek is about something else? What do you think? If someone was to ask you, what is Star Trek about, what would you say?
Well, I would say it is about boldly going where no one has gone before and exploring new worlds and new civilizations. But I just think that it needs a little refit. You know what I mean? Like for a new generation, for a new audience.
If someone was to ask you, why are you a fan of Star Trek, what would you say?
Well, I like a lot of things about Star Trek. I like the Enterprise. I love the Klingons. I love the Ferengi. I love the Romulans. I love the Dominion. I love the Borg. I love the alternate realities because I'm a big fan of alternate realities. I think it's really awesome. And there's like so many things I like about it, and there are things I don't really, care much for. So yeah, And also I like science fiction. I'm a big fan of science fiction. Anything that takes place in space, I'm a big sucker for. I love it.
Did you ever see the original series episode Mirror Mirror?
Oh yeah. Oh, I love
that. Have you seen any of the Star Trek fan productions? Star Trek Continues or Star Trek Phase 2. Have you seen any of those?
Yeah, I've seen the one that you sent me one time. Oh, it's called The Fairless of Them All. That was a good one.
That's Star Trek Continues.
Yep. Yeah, when the Enterprise attacked the planet and they set off the dilithium under the crust.
Parallel universe.
Yeah, I didn't know that dilithium was that powerful. I mean, if you set it off, it can destroy the planet?
Yeah. Yep. It is. It can be used as a very, very powerful explosive weapon.
Oh, and this element, is it in every planet?
No, probably not in every planet. It depends on what the planet is made up of. Some planets are like you can go to an all-ice planet.
Yeah. I mean, like an Earth-like planet. That's like what I mean. I thought. Okay. So, anyways, yeah.
So you love the different races, like the Klingons and the Ferengi. That's good. So you're a fan of Star Trek. Would you recommend Star Trek to people?
Yeah, I recommend Star Trek to my friends. I think it's a really good show. Like I said, I love Deep Space Nine. It was really good. I love Sisko. I love Kira. I love Quark. I love Odo. I love them all, And, I like Sisko better than Picard, obviously, because he's quicker to go to battle stations than Picard is, In fact, he started off, what?
He's someone you could relate to, too.
Yeah, he started off the whole series with one big conflict against Picard because, he saw Picard as Locutus who killed his wife.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, he kind of told him off at first. Not really, but
Yeah, no, he did tell him off. In the very first episode, he did tell him. He reminded him of what happened, why he doesn't like him.
Yeah,
he did do that.
Yeah, and now Sisko is immortal. He's joined the Prophets.
If they made a new Star Trek television series, what would you like it to be?
Well, I would like it. You see, I think we've already had too many series in the 24th century. I think we should move forward. Maybe like 20 years after 2387. So that's 2397 at 2407. So 2407. Everybody's still around then. So it's the early 20. What?
Put it in the 25th century.
Yeah, let's see how stuff advances. And I really want to see a new Enterprise. I wonder what they could do with it. I mean, I wonder how powerful, how amazing it can be, how big, and it's what I'm looking for, and
Are you looking forward to the next Star Trek movie then?
Yeah. I've heard that Attack of the Block Joe Cornish is probably going to direct.
Mhm.
No. First, I heard no, Orsi's directing, but now they're saying no. Attack of the Block
I heard it was
Joe Cornish.
a Brian something. I didn't pay attention to the last name. But now it's Joe Cornish. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
they're going to start filming in like the fall.
what do you think of the actors?
Oh, they're pretty good.
They're good.
Yeah.
Can you relate to this Kirk like you could to William Shatner's Kirk?
I think I relate to him a little better.
Oh,
than
really?
William Shatner's Kirk.
William Shatner.
Yeah. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, he's not Kirk," and like, "Oh, he's an arrogant kid and stuff. He's like a punk," but I just like the way I just like the way he acts, the way he handles things. He's a new Kirk for a new century, for a new decade,
Yeah, a new Kirk for younger viewers. For people who have never seen Star Trek, people. How old is he? Do you know how old the actor is? Is he in his 20s?
I think he's in his 20s. Yeah.
For the 20-some generation.
Yeah.
The character I relate to, of course, is Spock.
Oh yeah, he was good.
Okay. Well, do you have anything else to say about Star Trek before we conclude?
Also, I would really like to see Gul Dukat again.
Ah.
I love Gul Dukat. I mean, what did you think about him?
Oh, yes. I loved Gold. He had some of the best lines.
Yeah.
He was great. I really I would like to see him again.
Yeah, I mean, do you think he died? Because they said he's in the fire caves with the other Paul Wraith.
And, I don't think he's dead. He's just being tortured forever with the power rays.
I mean, he could come back. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many people that can bring him back. I mean, Q could bring him back.
Leonard Nimoy once said about when Spock died. Leonard Nimoy said it's science fiction. No one dies in science fiction. There's always a way to bring someone back.
Or you can bring him back from an alternate reality.
Now, William Shatner is in he's 83.
Yeah.
Would you like to see somehow they bring back Admiral Kirk? Now,
Yeah.
he died, but there could be a way to bring him back. It's
Yeah.
science fiction after all. Would you like to see Admiral Kirk and the young Kirk together?
Yeah, they could either clone him. They could use the Mirror Kirk. He can come back as the Mirror Kirk because we never know what happened to him.
That's true.
I heard there was a storyline in Enterprise where old Spock. Well, they said that old Spock used a Tantalus device on Kirk, and it didn't really kill. It didn't kill him. It sent him to a prison planet in the Prime universe in the 22nd century, and then Archer would have found the Mirror Kirk, like an aged Mirror Kirk, because he would have stayed on that prison planet for like 40 years. Unfortunately, it didn't happen.
No, this Enterprise was canceled.
I know.
Whereas Next Generation and Deep Space Nine were not canceled. They were
Yeah.
just we've said as much as we can say. We're going to end the show ourselves and then continue the movies. Deep Space Nine never made a movie. Would you like to see a Deep Space Nine movie?
Oh yeah, I would love to catch up with the Deep Space Nine guys. Yeah, that would be great.
Okay. Well, do you have anything else to add on the Star Trek before we go?
Oh, also, I got these tie-in comics that tie into the movie, J.J. Abrams movie universe, and actually, I got issue 35 and issue 36. It's all about like Kirk, Kirk on his 5-year mission, and then Q comes on his ship.
Ah.
He comes on his ship. Okay, first, Q talks to Picard, and this takes place right after Spock entered the wormhole with Nero.
All right.
And then Q tells Picard, "Oh, Spock isn't dead. He's in another timeline, and his actions saved this timeline, but it caused a chain of events that would doom that one." And then you see Picard saying, "No, don't interfere with this new timeline, Q." And he's like, "No, okay, I'm not going to interfere with it. Only after you promise to breathe one oxygen." He said something weird. He said something like this: "I would promise not to interfere only when you promise to breathe one oxygen molecule and not the surrounding ones. I don't know what that meant, really. I think he was comparing the universes to oxygen molecules. You know how there's one oxygen molecule and then there's a whole bunch around them?
Yep.
I think that's how I think he was comparing that to the universes, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that was interesting, you know, and then he disappears, and then he appears on the new Enterprise, and he actually startles Kirk, because Kirk is in the turbo lift. He sees Q. He doesn't know who Q is, of course. Q is wearing a red shirt. He's posing as a security officer. And he goes, "Oh, whoa, I didn't see you there." You know, and then he goes, "And you are?" And, you know, Q says, "Oh, I'm security, and, like, it's a pleasure to be on board the Enterprise." And, you know, then he kind of dropped a hint. You know, he kind of dropped a reference to the Prime universe, and he goes, "I like this ship. I like the ship. This is much better than the beige look." Because, you know, Prime universe's ships were mostly beige.
Yeah.
So he dropped a reference there, and then he kind of like he phased on the bridge, and then he talked to Kirk a little bit, and they were actually outside of the ship on the hull talking, and, you know, and then he was talking to Kirk, and then he said something about, he referenced Picard a little bit, because he said, like, "I know some pretty stubborn Starfleet captains," and then he sent them back. He sent Kirk back on the bridge, and then at the end of the comic book, he sent them to the future of their universe. So they got the view screen back on, and guess what we see? We see DS9. Yeah. And then in the next issue, it's actually pretty cool. You know, like, there's, like, these Dominion ships chasing the Enterprise, and, like, they're, like, firing at it, and, like, you know, like, their shields drop at, like, 65%. You know, they're being pummeled and stuff. And then they get captured by the Jem'Hadar, and then they take Kirk to the ready room, you know, on DS9, and then they go, you know, that ready room that Sisko is always in?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and guess who's in there? Guess who's in there? It's so exciting. It's Gul Dukat. Gul Dukat is, like, waiting for Kirk, and he's like looking outside. When we first see him, he's looking outside at the Enterprise, and he's like, "Magnificent, isn't it? A relic from another time, just like its captain." And then he starts talking to the captain, and, you know, he's like, "Oh, you know, hello, my name is Gul Dukat," and then he explains, like, where they are, how, you know, and like, you know, like, they disappeared. In their point of view, the Enterprise disappeared when Q sent them to the future.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, and then he told them about the Dominion War and everything, and he goes, "Oh, you know, I'm pretty sure, like, you know, like in your time, you guys have never seen my species before, because they never met the Cardassians in the 23rd century." So, you know, he starts talking about, you know, he talks about his race. He talks about, he's like a student of history. He's interested in empires, their rise and fall, and, you know, he wants to get information from Kirk. And then after they talk a little bit, oh my God, it's so cool. We see, because, like, Kirk thinks that this is all still Q's game, so he mentions Q to Gul Dukat, and he's like, "We were sent here by someone named Q. Are you working with him?" And then Gul Dukat is like, "I don't know who you're talking about," and that's exciting, because, like, you know, like, that was, like, awesome, you know, a Q reference to Dukat, you know.
So you're saying the comic books are, if not just as good as episodes, maybe even better?
Well, I don't. Yeah, actually, some of them are, actually. You know, I would really, yeah, I love this. I'm gonna buy every single one. I mean, it comes out monthly. I'm gonna get every single one at my local comic books store. Yeah, I got, like, number 2. Yeah, I'm gonna get number 3 next month. And anyways, as I was saying, Gul Dukat throws Kirk in the brig, and, you know, that's his idea of hospitality, because he told Kirk, you know, "While you're here, accept my hospitality." But how is that hospitality? He throws him in the brig. He gets his guards to throw him in the brig. That's really nice hospitality, eh? So, anyways, you know, he gets reunited with Scotty and Uhura, and then guess what comes out of the shadows? Cisco.
Oh, I was going to say Picard. Cisco, okay.
Cisco comes out of the shadows, and he goes, now there's a uniform I haven't seen since my academy days. And then he starts, like, don't be alarmed. My name is Benjamin Cisco, you know, and then he starts talking to Kirk a little bit, and then, you know, like, okay, and then we see Gul Dukat. Then it cuts off to Gul Dukat. Gul Dukat is on the bridge of the new Enterprise. And he's like saying, wow, you know, this is like a relic, you know, it had no chance against our new modern weapons, but, you know, this is still a beautiful ship, and, you know, he wanted to keep it. And then all of a sudden the Defiance appeared, and, you know, Gul Dukat was like, you know, like, destroy that ship now, you know, and then, you know, like, Cisco tells, then we cut back to Cisco. Cisco tells Kirk, you know, we gotta leave, you know, my ship is outside waiting to beam us up. And then we see a Jem'Hadar. He opens the bridge. He opens the door, and he goes, Cisco, it's time. And then he approaches Cisco, and then he morphs into Odo. And I'm like, whoa, this has a lot of surprises in it, you know. And then, like, you know, then they beam up. Then they beam everybody up. Scotty, Uhura, Cisco, Kirk, Odo. They beam them up. And then we see new Kirk on the Defiant, and then after that we see a little bit of Q, and he's like, "Oh, I'm checking up on you, Kirk," and then he's like, you know, try not to get into any trouble or whatever, and then he disappears. And then we see Cisco. He approaches Kirk, and then he talks to him a little bit, and he says like, "Oh yeah, we're heading to Earth," and he goes like, "But I must warn you, Earth isn't what it used to be," and then it just ends there. And then we see Earth, and there was like a lot of Klingon and Romulan ships, and actually the Klingon emblem is on the Golden Gate Bridge.
And what, you have to wait till next month? Next month's
Yeah.
issue? Okay. So, since there's no TV series on right now, and there's no movie in the theaters, we recommend people read the comic book.
Oh yeah, it's really good. Yeah, you should get it. And you're supporting Star Trek, too, when you get it. So, you know, this is good, too.
Yep, you are supporting Star Trek. All right, thanks, everyone, for tuning in and watching, and live long and prosper.
Bye.
Get out! Get out of